Let's talk about Chainguard libraries for Java, JavaScript, and Python, specifically about the fallback for upstream and policies that we can enforce along the way and ensure you get only the libraries you want. The easiest way to understand this fallback and policies, again, is with an example. So we'll look at what happens for libraries in the Java ecosystem on Chainguard libraries for Java. So we have two sources for these binaries that you ultimately get. On the one hand, we have open source projects with source code on GitHub and other source code repositories. And we build them from source in our Chainguard factory. We add the software bill of materials, we add the server provenance information, and so on. Then we build those binaries and make them available for access in the Chainguard repository, so in libraries.cgr.dev/java. On the other hand, however, since there is just way too many libraries and like also old stuff where maybe the source code is gone lost or it's not possible to build this anymore, there's binaries still on the Maven Central repository, and those binaries are hopefully okay. So in order to make sure that they are okay for your consumption, what we do is we look at those binaries, we scan and filter them. Any malware or also grayware that we find is blocked. Some of those have OSV mal IDs, and we look those up. We also scan the source code or the class files and that kind of stuff in Java. And we do that scanning and filtering to detect if any of the source code within that component or binary is actually malicious, so actually does some credentials theft or like other hacks on your system during installation or during use. And then we also scan if there's grayware. So the first one was malware. Grayware is more a software where it is actually providing some benefit, but then it also does something negative that you don't want to have happen in your production environments or like even on your developer workstation or your CI/CD systems. So we block both of those things that are not really appropriate, such as like, credential theft, access to systems it shouldn't go, reaching out to the internet, providing information about your system to other sources and other things. You don't want those, we block them. And then those binaries from, in this case, Maven Central, but also later for JavaScript or Python from the respective repositories, can go through a policy like a cooldown period. The other binaries can also go through policies. So we have these policy gates. In the Java ecosystem, that doesn't necessarily make so much sense because most of the libraries we bring you from Maven Central are old. And so the cooldown period doesn't make sense, but there's other policies you can potentially apply, such as licenses and so on, that do make sense. Cooldown period as a feature makes much more sense in the JavaScript ecosystem because there's often NPM registry attacks and the system works the same. If there is a malicious malware found on the NPM registry, we do the malware detection or the grayware detection and block it. And we also add a cooldown period if you want an easy method to prevent the latest and greatest stuff sneaking in and don't want to have to configure that on PNPM and other client tools all over the place in your network. This is like an organizational wide setup and it works for all your developers and CI and CD systems. This is typically useful in the JavaScript ecosystem where version ranges are often used, semantic versioning, so whenever you run a build, it will pick up a newer version. In a similar fashion, this can also happen in Python application development when you use the Python package index and also have semantic versioning where patch versions can automatically be picked up depending on their availability, and then if different times and different machines use a build without any log file, they potentially get different aspects of libraries pulled in. Cooldown period and locking this all down in policies prevents that kind of drift. Python package index, and so therefore Chainguard libraries for Python works exactly the same. It's just that the Python package index is that fallback of binaries from the Upstream registry, but otherwise we also try to build as much as possible from source. And then also, as you saw in another video earlier, we also build CVE remediated libraries. In the end, the binaries that you need become available in the Chainguard repository, either by being rebuilt from source or being scanned and filtered and nasty stuff being blocked out. You get them at libraries.ctr.dev/Java, Python, and JavaScript. And we can go ahead now and have a look on how to configure that upstream fallback and some policies. Let's go. One way to see what access you have and if the upstream repository is enabled is to just go to the console. You see here Chainguard Libraries for JavaScript and the upstream repository is enabled. I can go here and disable this by just clicking on the UI if I have the respective access rights. That's probably the easiest way, but it requires you to click around, so it can't be easily automated. You could use the API, but the best way is probably to use chainCTL, and that's what I'm going to show you next. The first step is to just list the entitlements to access libraries that we have in this organization with the libraries entitlements list command, selecting the relative organization that I'm interested in, which is typically just one for you, but I just have a bunch more. And then you see here that I'm entitled to JavaScript and Java. JavaScript already has the upstream repository, as we saw, as a fallback, and it has a 0 cooldown days configured. Java only has the Chainguard repository, so only the artifacts we built from source, and no fallback, also 0 cooldowns, and we don't have Python at all. So let's go and fix this up a bit. First off, I can create a new entitlement for the Python ecosystem with the entitlements create command, just providing the Python name to the ecosystems flag. And again, I have to change the organization. I can look at this successfully being done, and I can inspect the list again to see that there it is. Next, let's change the Java ecosystem to have a policy to also fall back to upstream. So here we create the Java ecosystem again, which is just an update, basically just overrides it. And we set the policy to Chainguard and upstream. Again, selecting the org and listing the organization again. And you see now I have the policy with upstream. And you also see that the default value of 7 days cooldown was already instituted for Java. Okay, now we have these two fallbacks enabled for JavaScript and Java, but realistically we want to flip the cooldown days to be 0 in Java and probably 7 or so in JavaScript, because that's a good value where within that time frame of 7 days the malware is typically detected by various security researchers and reported, and then a mal ID is filed. So a general fallback in that realm is probably good. Also ensures that we then obviously also scan and find them and block them, so they don't affect you at all, but you can have this one central configuration. So let's do the configuration. So we set the JavaScript ecosystem to the cooldown days of 7 days and the policy to remain at policy for Chainguard and upstream. And for Java, we flip it around to have cooldown days of 0 and again still have the fallback in place. This is giving us a warning because typically a cooldown of 0 is not such a great idea in the Java ecosystem. However, in our case, that's fine because most of the things are either built from source or only very old stuff is going to come through from Central, and it goes through the scanning, and there's very little malware in Maven Central anyway, or none. So we're good. Let's confirm that this worked. Here we go. JavaScript 7 days cooldown with fallback. Java 0 day cooldown. Python just the artifacts that we built from source. Interested to find out more about Chainguard libraries for Java, JavaScript, and Python? Join me in one of my next videos, or find out more from our website at chainguard.dev/libraries.